I like to think that if you know where to look and you care to do a bit of research, then the answers are right in front of your face.
The next low-cap crypto gems primed to pump are planned, but which ones are they? What if I brought on an expert insider whale who can name 5?
I'm fortunate enough to have a team of researchers to help me find some really quality things, plus a great connection and a good network.
This video is not financial advice, just info and opinion. Bitcoin whale Kyle Chase shares his top 5 high conviction altcoin picks for generational wealth.
High conviction plays. It's worked really well for me in my life, right? It's allowed me to turn $100,000 into massive, like generational wealth.
Whales control the market. You know this. It's all coordinated. So let's learn from the whales.
Between these two coins right here are the largest investments I've ever made in my life, ever by far. And my holding between these two coins is as big as my Bitcoin and ETH holdings, which is insane.
Send this video to one friend looking for alpha like this. Make sure you stay for the 2 bonus coins at the end. Now let me intro this.
It's all planned. It's all orchestrated. The crypto coins that are going to pump in the next 6 months, 9 months, 11 months, the coins that are going to make a lot of people, well, certain people, very rich. They are known. Bitcoin whales in secret back channels plan this. Today we have on one such whale, Kyle Chase, who has agreed to reveal the next 5 altcoins that he believes are primed. Kyle is an early Bitcoiner and crypto investor. He's risking a lot to reveal what he's about to reveal to us today. Kyle Chase, how you doing?
Aaron, thanks for having me, man. You definitely build up the suspense here. That's for sure.
Definitely. Do you think that's like a fair framing, that there are certain coins that whales kind of, plan to pump in the background and retail never really knows?
I think I know without a doubt, without a shadow of doubt, that happens. I mean, you can just, one needs to look no further than Book of Memes and understand that was that was impossible to happen any other way. And it happens all the time. Usually certain market makers are known for doing this. I won't name names on this one, but you don't have to look too far to understand who's doing that. And then there's kind of an inner circle. But I will be clear that I do consider myself an insider, a Bitcoin OG for sure. But I guess I do get invited into these things from time to time. And so that does give me an edge. But I also think that if you know where to look, because I don't hide anything that I know. So it's not like I don't let my community in on the things, and I'll let your community today know about some of the things that I know about. But it's not like I don't reveal the things that I get immediately with my community once I have conviction, right? Once I believe in it myself. And trust me, it meant, as much as you might think that it's always a good thing, sometimes we get taken advantage of too, because it's someone that we trust says that, oh, trust me, it's from an insider or someone like that, right? And then they got fooled, which fools all of us. And that's why I try to do a lot of research and stuff like that to prevent that from happening. But I like to think that if you know where to look and you care to do a bit of research, then the answers are right in front of your face. It just takes diving in deep. And I'm fortunate enough to have a team of researchers to help me find some really quality things, plus a great connection and a good network.
Definitely. And of course, nobody can predict the future. You're just trying your best. But before we name the 5 secret altcoin picks, like, you brought a spreadsheet and you can kind of go like, hey, I've made some calls in the past. This is what I've done in the past. And then we'll jump into the 5 altcoins. But please share that.
I always get, like, if I'm on a show with like Ran and Banter or something, and then, and someone's on the other side and they're like, oh, I called this thing and I went 100,000x. Like, so bad inside of me, I just want to be like, show us, bro. Like, because if you did, for sure it was on a DEX, right? So there must be some on-chain activity, but I don't know if like how contentious that is, or how, like, I don't know. But I always, but so the point is that I will share this link with you, Aaron. And if you want to put it in the description below, people can go and check out. We have links here to when we called it for Pepe, for example. I don't have the link here, but I'll put a link to the to the looks on chain where they track my wallet and everything like that too. So anyway, yeah, you got lower ones that I still am bullish on, like this MAGA Trump narrative right now. And as you know, Trump is like building a Bitcoin army right now. So that's still bullish. I think a lot of room to go there as elections heat up. Ondo, I called really quite early for something that's, real world asset. I think that's the number one play. Banana Gun, this is really important because people laughed when I first talked about it. Right now it's 8x because I said between $5 and $7, whatever. Pepe, Bonk, I saw that thing coming up like virality. And, for me and meme coins, like today I would tell most people, like, unless you're willing to, like you have to, with meme coins, you kind of have to have the inside edge, right? And in the earlier days though, it was less like that and just looking for virality. And so I was able to catch Bonk really, really well. Tucker, which I absolutely love. I don't know have you seen Tucker?
Yeah, it's like a Tucker Carlson kind of South Park cartoon, and the coin associated is called Tucker instead of Tucker. And I don't know if Crypto Banter is a part of it, but he likes that coin too.
Yeah. So I brought it to his attention, and then he like just jumped all over it. And so that one 45x, Bowden 47.5, and then at WIF it was over 100x.
All that is just to say that you're not just showing up without your past receipts. This is what you've done before. And now you have graciously agreed to share the next 5 altcoins that the whales are talking about in secret, but you've humbly come on to say, I think these will do well.
And this was all this cycle, right? In kind of 2023, 2024. So I think that's really quite remarkable, actually, myself. So yeah, let's get into it, man. For sure, I'm very excited to share these with you guys. I'll tell you on each one as well my level of conviction, right? I think it's really important to clarify, right? If you have really high conviction or you're pretty bullish, and then I'll give you, if you want, one degen at the end. But
okay. Hey, guys, folks at home, smash the like button. Comment what coin you think Kyle should check out and put on his next list. But Kyle, coin number 1, what do you got?
Just destroy the like buttons, guys. Destroy it. Okay, so first one is Pepe coin. And I'm going to actually just reveal number 2 because I think that number 1 and number 2, in a way, at least for me, conviction-wise, well, they're tied together. And so that's Based AI. I'll give you just a quick backstory about this whole thing. So Pepe coin is not Pepe from above, Pepe on ETH. Pepe coin, the ticker is Pepe coin. And the real short story of it was this anonymous dev team back at around the same time as Doge. They built their own layer 1 blockchain. The blockchain was called Memetic, and the ticker was Pepe. And it got listed on Bittrex, and then they had to take it down because of a whole Hillary Clinton versus Trump thing, and Trump used Pepe meme, and Hillary said it's racist, and so they were forced to take it down. This is the first Pepe coin, the actual OG Pepe, right? Pepe meme, and then in 2023, someone copied it, and that's the Pepe that became really popular. But that's not why I'm bullish on it, because interestingly enough, the 3 last blog posts that Vitalik made all have to do with something with one of these 2 projects. And these 2 projects are connected together. The same team who's behind Pepe Coin is also behind Based AI. And what I love about this is that you can go and look at their history of delivering. Like, you don't have to wait for them to promise something, right? Like Pepe Coin has shipped a lot of cool products before. The website is amazing. And what they're building now, and what they built the layer 1 blockchain. They built the world's first NFT marketplace. They built a thing in an art app where you can just create an NFT, all back in like 2016 before NFT was even a word. And they're really well connected. I talked to them a couple of times before. You can tell that they've been around forever, like Brock Pierce, Tether days, like inside stories. You just know that they're really well connected. And so the interesting thing is, what I like to talk about a lot is token utility and always being true to community. These guys have grown an extremely loyal, very real community that's been following them since then, which I love to see organic. That's going to be so strong. So these 2 projects are tied together. Based AI is a layer 1 blockchain using Substrate, which is what Polkadot was built on originally, and which also BitTensor Tau was built on, and others as well. And Based AI is now in its final stages before mainnet. So it actually will have a product in about like mainnet ready to go. And anyone who's watching this now can go to get Based AI and go spin up a test net, test it out. The closest thing that you can compare it to would be BitTensor, but it's actually much different and much better. But it's a layer 1, fully EVM compatible. with an encryption scheme called fully homomorphic encryption. Doesn't matter if anyone knows what that is. It's obviously complicated, but the important part is this is the holy grail of encryption. And what the most important part is, if you want AI to be really, if you want to build the best AI for you, if Aaron and Austin want assistance, you guys want to be able to like create digital clones of yourselves. I'm sure that you went, man, I wish I could just clone myself right now, right? Everyone thinks that. and we're getting there with AI and these learning models. But if you really want it to be the best assistant, they need to know everything about you. And that means even your deepest, darkest secrets, your intellectual property, stuff that you would not trust Google and Microsoft and Meta with. And so you need this FHE to be able to encrypt your inputs and outputs. Essentially, it's critical. So they're the only ones building something like this. It's super unique, and mainnet's almost shipping, and it's almost no one knows about it. So it's sitting right now at a $227 million market cap, which is insane compared to even BitTensor, which went to 15 billion. And that wasn't even in the bull market yet, right? So just to get to, I think I did these numbers before, just to get to parity with BitTensor would be insane, 15x from here. But if you think BitTensor is going to do another 5 or 10x in the bull market, this is like, 50, like another 75x or something like that is kind of my target. Now, the interesting thing is that BitTensor has these things called subnets. Based AI does as well. And they're kind of like parachains on Polkadot, for example, or they're rare little subnets like on Avalanche also, but there's a limited supply. And why I'm so interested in Pepe Coin now is because there's going to be, in about 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe something like that, there's going to be something called a brain mint, which is going to be selling off these limited supply of these essentially kind of like almost like layer 2s, right? And you're going to have to burn Pepe Coin to get them. And so there's going to be a crazy supply shock of Pepe Coin that, if they're all sold out, could burn 80% of the Pepe Coin supply, which would be unbelievable, right? And so there's a thing called the pepening, which is where the real OG Pepe flips the fake Pepe. And I just think it's so undervalued, and people just don't like really know about it. So this is actually, I'll tell you what, man, between these two coins right here are the largest investments I've ever made in my life, ever, by far. My holding between these two coins is as big as my Bitcoin and ETH holdings, which is insane, right? This is only after I did about 3 weeks of deep research and had other really smart people vet their technology and white paper. And so I went super, so that's...
You have high conviction in these two.
Ultra high conviction. And I know I'm taking a little bit longer than these, but it's worth it, trust me. Because Pepe Coin isn't done, right? They're actually building something right now. They're using based AI to train one of the brains they're calling Rosetta. It's a natural language learning model, but it's being used right now. And right now, any of your audience can go, and they can go earn points for training the trading bot. They're building something called KEKbot. And essentially, imagine this, Aaron. Right now, if you want to do anything in crypto, you have to go find a bridge, right? You have to go like literally go there and type it in and connect all your wallets and like from which chain to which chain. I mean, it's complicated. It's hard, right? Imagine in 1 month from now, maybe 2 months from now, you can just go, hey, if NVIDIA earnings come in on Tuesday and they're higher than expected, I want you to take 50% of my stable coin and buy the top 10 market cap AI cryptos. And I also want you to take the other 50% of my stable coin, put it in a 10x leverage long. That's it. And then like really complicated commands. And the AI will go out and find the path to do all the stuff for you. And it'll just propose the trade, and then you just hit go, and it does everything for you autonomously. This is anything you could ever imagine. So why would you ever go to like exchange again? Why would you ever use 1inch again? Why would you ever use a bridge again when you can just talk to it and it goes and does all these things for you? Or imagine this, Aaron. How long would it take you to sell all of your crypto if you knew that the market was going to come crashing down and you want to sell everything? Like it would take me a week. It would take me a week. This thing, you could just go like literally, market's crashing, sell everything in a stable coin now. Bam. That's it. Crazy. Cool. Those are some extremely high conviction plays that I have.
Number 1 and number 2, very good stuff. We appreciate that. We like that. Let's move on to number 3, Mr. Chase.
So 3 is paid. Full disclosure here. That's my project. Now, you might say, Kyle, you're shilling your own project. Yes, I am. How could I not be bullish on my own project? How could I know any more than anything that I've been responsible for building for, we launched this in 2021 and learned in that bull market. And then in the bear market, completely thought about how to reinvent everything based on everything that I learned, everything, and how to make it much
a lot of people who were around back then are probably going, oh, I didn't know paid was still around.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, because right now, if you're looking on like top, all these ICO websites, like paid's maybe not even mentioned or anything, and that's intentional. I also believe that guys like Rand, and I love Rand, by the way, like guys like Rand and everyone else, they were fooled with the Satoshi VM thing that happened when it was a 300x. Everyone started saying it's IDO season. No, not yet. Like if you look at history, IDO season last time happened in January, and the halving was 7-8 months before that. We're not there yet. We're not in a parabolic state, but now we're getting really, really close. And so now we're just rolling out right now, basically. Also link here so they can go watch more about it. But what I can say is, I think last time I was on the show, I talked about BananaBot. And the reason that I was so bullish on BananaBot was because it was actually generating real revenue, right? And that revenue was going back and being applied to buying the token in the open market. And so there was a way to directly correlate the success, usage, adoption of the protocol of the thing with the value of the token. And because it's my project, I can't tell you about speculating price. I can't talk about that. But what I can tell you is that I'm obsessed with token utility, token economy, and building really good revenue generating protocols that where 100% of that revenue goes back into the token.
And I know that about you. That's something that, you're bullish on token projects that generate real revenue. You think those are going to rise to the top, and you're basically doing that with paid and, putting it back in the paid ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that right now we have more sophisticated investors coming into the space. Bitcoin and then Ethereum, those are the gateway. It's the gateway drug, right? Bitcoin was kind of the gateway drug where, wow, I got a taste of crypto. That's doing pretty good. Now I want a little bit more risk, a little bit more degen. I want a little bit more exposure. And so they go to ETH, right? And then they get a little taste of ETH. And then they're going to go down the risk curve and they're going to start exploring like altcoins, right? They're going to come to our space and go, wait a minute, you're telling me this thing called Cardano generates $300,000 a year and you guys are valuing this at $17 billion? Are you insane? Like that doesn't make any logical sense to anyone in the real world. And then Wall Street or anyone who's like an asset manager. We have been so irrational and illogical. And I'm just saying Cardano because it's one of the highest valuations with the lowest revenue generation. But
you want the heat. You want the heat from the Cardano community.
If you go to DeFi Llama and you just look at fees and revenue, you'll realize that there's very few protocols out there that are actually even making any money. Most of them don't even produce money. So you have to ask yourself, what is this thing here and why should it be valuable, right? I think that when we are all growing up in this space, we're all learning more as we go. We're learning how to do this thing together, right? And as you and I and people who have YouTube channels and stuff, as we go through different cycles, we learn more. We can also say, how will the world eventually value our industry? And they're going to value it a lot like the stock market, right? And once we grow and become mature and we have a big $50 trillion, $100 trillion total market cap, that's when we stop getting all these crazy gains. And then we start acting more like a stock market with, 13% a year, 15% a year gains or losses versus these crazy numbers. And that's because people will start valuing these things as they should be and not based on hype and speculation alone. So we have to start looking at being smarter as we invest in this space. And I'm trying to build things based around protocols that generate a lot of revenue. But instead of me taking that revenue and putting it in my pocket, I take zero of that revenue. And me as a founder, I get to keep some of the tokens. And if the thing is widely adopted and generates lots of revenue and is very valuable because it's being used by a bunch of people, then I hold my tokens, my token number go up. And then that's how I make a lot of money, right? Not because I want to sell these things for stablecoin, like crappy fiat. No. Like I want to build an actual, real, sustainable, big economy. And I think people need to look at these things as nation states, right? If you mint a token and it's decentralized, it needs to have governance, taxation, monetary fiscal policy, all the things that you would think to build in a country. And so that's how we build these things. And if people want to go look at the website, white paper is amazing.
So let's get to number 4. And Altcoin Daily is an ambassador for number 3 and number 4. And so I've looked into these projects. So I'm excited to hear you talk about Commonwealth.
Yeah, so people are probably very familiar with something like Paid, which its main product is a launchpad. However, I will tell you that Paid Ignition is the normal launchpad with OpenPool, and then there's other ones coming soon to be announced as far as other revenue generating ways, which is really exciting. People know launchpads, right? DAOmaker, CoinList, and PokerStarter, and all this stuff. That's for more later stage things. Typically, I don't want to say less risk because it depends on the launchpad, but it's right before, usually it's a public sale. It's before the token starts trading. And you trade your stable coin or whatever for the tokens themselves, right? And then you manage the tokens. Where Commonwealth operates much more like a traditional style fund. And that means that you can come in with stablecoin, invest into a fund, and then you're pooled together with a bunch of other investors into a fund. And then when the fund closes, let's say it's $1 million fund, $5 million fund, whatever, that fund can then make investments and it gets deals from a curated council of very successful investors. We have very big partners that are on the council, or we call them oracles, and they must have invested in a project themselves as an angel or behalf of their fund in order for them to propose a deal to be invested into by one of the funds. And so you have this first level of due diligence. And when you look at the website, you'll see all the deals that the oracles have invested into. It's all the best projects in the space. And so for the first time ever, the everyday person, the 99%, and we like to call it All Street, kind of like knock down the wall on the W on Wall Street and All Street. It's in the spirit of Wall Street bets and the 99%. Giving access to the everyday person to the best deals in crypto, the ones that normally only guys like yourself or A16Z or something would get into, but this is now for everybody. This is the first time in history. Nothing like this exists in the world. Nothing. My style of what I like to do, and it's worked really well for me in my life, right? It's allowed me to turn $100,000 into massive, like generational wealth, and my style has always been high conviction plays where I find something really cool. And I encourage everyone watching this to, first of all, not ape into any of this stuff just because I'm here saying that to do it. But go build the conviction yourself, because that's also going to prevent you from doing paper handing things, right? Buying something and then it goes down a little bit and you're like, Kyle's an idiot, he's wrong, like, and getting mad at me. Do your own research and then make up your own mind, and don't FOMO into any of these things either. Just like go do research,
Very important. That is very wise. And we do only have a few minutes left. So I don't even know if we're going to have time for the bonus, but whatever you think is the most important, Kyle.
Morpheus is another one kind of similar to, it's not like base AI level, but it is another AI infrastructure play. And the reason I like this one is because, well, first of all, it's been building for a while. And it's basically faceless or headless. I don't know if there was any one person that took credit for starting this thing, but now there's over 400 developers from around the world contributing to the code base, which is amazing to see. There's 400 people who like voluntarily contribute to this thing without a paycheck, right? Which is awesome. And then you have guys that I really respect, like Eric Voorhees, who are building their projects on top of this. Like Eric is one of my most respected people in the space. And that's really kind of what you need to understand. Like for Morpheus, it's AI infrastructure. It allows kind of open source development of AI. It allows people to put their models on there for them to work together. And I think it's a lot to be proven there. But the traction that I see from that, like I really like to see this kind of collaboration between a lot of bright minds to work on solving a problem together. It's different than something like Based AI. Based AI has a great track record. It's a team that's worked together for a long time. They know how to work together well. They can execute tight and efficiently. And then you have other things like Morpheus. It's more like kind of like probably like more like Bitcoin or Ethereum, where it started with maybe one man's vision or something like that. And then he got his buddies to start writing code together. And then they just open sourced everything, and more people came, and they felt it was like, they aligned with the vision, whatever. So it's sitting right now like $135 million market cap. And I think that, Based AI and Morpheus, I would say that like your base case, in my opinion, is BitTensor Tao's 15 billion. And I know that when I was doing due diligence on Based AI, I sent the white paper to a lot of really smart AI researchers that are working on blockchain that I know to validate the Based AI white paper. Each of them came back to tell me that they identified, like they thought that BitTensor Tao was very limited to what it could do. And they thought that it was definitely, at the end of the day, probably not going to be the thing that does the thing, right? And so these guys have both also said that, and we're working to kind of solve for that as well in their own way.
Would you say you have high conviction on Morpheus, or medium conviction, or?
I would say that it's medium, very medium. I think that it's a great, from a speculative play, great, right? It's got the narrative. It's got Eric Voorhees. It's still, in my opinion, a low market cap for its narrative and the kind of initial traction they have. They have a lot of TVL already. It was a fair launch, which is great. You don't have any VCs in there early dumping on everybody. Another thing too about every one of these is going to be, I don't know if you've been talking about it recently, but like last week and the week before, everyone was talking about this like high valuation, low float. Binance came out with the article and Kobe and stuff. None of these fall into that category of like just VC dense, KOL dense, like dump all over retail kind of thing with lots of inflation. And I think that's really important, to think about too. You don't have like massive inflation to look ahead to. So I would say there's a lot of great narratives behind Morpheus. It has a lot to prove. And I'm always nervous, to be completely honest with you, with Morpheus and Based AI. They're dev teams, they're dev teams, and they're deving, like relentlessly deving. And that's awesome from a product perspective. The marketing side of things, that's where I get concerned. I guess there's guys like me who buy in, but there's very few people that are passionate like I am when we find a good gem who are going to come and continuously, like I'm a huge advocate for Base Day on Pepe Coin. I just bought my own bags. I've dug in so deep that I just can't stop talking about them. And then Paid and Commonwealth, obviously I know how to market really well. And we have a bunch of ambassadors that are going to talk about that, market them well, and they're good products. But Morpheus, you know what happened? I actually messaged one of the guys who did an interview. I said, hey man, I like your project. Any way that I can maybe help us in marketing, maybe could OTC some tokens at a discount, whatever. He's like, he said, bro, it's open source. Anyone's free to talk about it. I was like, fair. Okay. I like your answer. Like, bye. Thank you.
All right, Kyle.
Yeah.
We only have a couple more minutes. Please, I'm reading some of these comments. I see a lot of people like the video. Just, you don't even have to give it any context, but just tell us the name of the bonus token.
I believe, let me just make sure that I believe it's also, it's also Tucker. And the reason, but I'll give you another one too. AIOZ and Tucker. Like I should have mentioned AOZ on here too, but I didn't have time to gather all this stuff. But
just in brief on this.
So Tucker, the reason that Tucker's on here is because I really like if I'm looking at a meme, I look for the innovator, the first in class, the one who comes and just does something excellent. What it really is telling to me is after that thing launches, all the copycat beta plays come out and copy it, right? And when Tucker came out, I was like, this is brilliant. Like Tucker Carlson is extremely controversial, got kicked off of Fox. He's already a news broadcaster, and the animations are brilliant. And then you have, Rand helping him out with research and resources and stuff to scale it. And they have a token burning model. And it's a cool flywheel built in. Political season's coming in. He can do satire. It's just great. And if you look at statistics of the growth of his YouTube channel and the growth of his X account, it's scaling. And that's what you want to see. You want to see virality. You want to see growth. And at $68 million, which also FDV and market cap, fully circulating, there's tons of room for growth there. I think it'll go to $1 billion or something. I think that's like that. I think that's easy.
Kyle Chase, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your alpha with us. I'm going to leave a link to this spreadsheet in the comments below or in the description below, link to your stuff, link to Paid and Commonwealth specifically so people can check that out. And this was really interesting, man. You're always bringing the alpha. Just give us final thought for the Altcoin Daily audience.
Okay, so final thought is, when I first started in the space, I talked a lot about anti-regulation, like let us be free, kind of almost more to the anarchy side. And then what I've realized is that regulators aren't wrong about the fact that we need regulation. We really do, but it needs to be done in the right way. And ideally, if we can self-regulate, that would be the best, right? If we can create our own rules that became like gold standards. What I'm trying to help people do right now is come back to first principles and understand what to look for when you're investing in something that has meaningful value based on actual fundamentals, not just speculation and hype, because those people will ultimately get burned. But some of these protocols, some of these dApps, they will be adopted by the mainstream one day. And could you imagine a project like Commonwealth where Andreessen Horowitz or Sequoia, they're worth billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they're regional. Commonwealth is infrastructure for unlimited fund growth for the whole world. Commonwealth could theoretically become a multi-trillion-dollar asset manager. And with all of that money coming back into the economy, it could become one of the biggest economies in the world. Like literally, it could become the biggest economy in the world. It's giant, massive global fund. And this will happen. I don't think people have thought about that before, right? And so if you can create a sustainable token economy that creates revenue, the potential is literally limitless here. I think that's important for people to understand and go learn. And on my channel, I constantly am trying to educate here because I do genuinely care about the space. I do think that at the end of the day, the best decentralized protocols will win.
I like that. Appreciate that, Kyle. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.